Bill, welcome back to The Issue Is. Congratulations on the stand-up special. Is anyone else seeing this? It's really great.
Oh,
I loved it.
If Thomas Jefferson was alive, he would have two questions. One, Hamilton gets a musical before me?
And it seemed like you were talking to the normies, the people that you call sort of in the middle, not the extremes on the left and the right,
Yeah.
and saying to them, are you seeing this too? What was
Right.
the bottom line message you want them to take
I
from
think
this?
you got it. You know, I think I say it there, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it everywhere. I'm just tired of the hate in this country. I'm tired of extremists just controlling the debate, even though they're not a majority of the country. I don't want to hate half the country, and I don't hate half the country. And too many people are locked into that paradigm, and I've just had it. And, you know, we have a new administration coming in. I'm not going to pre-hate anything. I didn't vote for him. I would never vote for him. You know, I'm curious to see what it's like to have Donald Trump as president. Oh, wait, we already did? Sorry. I just got some information. Well, maybe it'll be better this time. But who knows? You know, I don't know. So I'm not going to go nuts. First thing I say in this special is he won the White House. He's not going to win my mind this
Right.
time, you know. Every time he does something crazy, I was just looking at my phone. He's talking about annexing Canada. And invading Greenland and the Panama Canal. I'm just not going to do it this time. Like, when he does it, yes, I'll get upset. But every time, he's a talker, and he's a dangerous person who doesn't concede elections. You know, that's my biggest issue with him, although I certainly have many. But that's the biggest one, why he's not qualified to be president. But as far as, like, you know, annexing Canada, I just don't think it's going to happen. And I'm just not going to lose my nervous system this time. Every time he says something crazy, he's going to nuke hurricanes and shoot protesters in the legs. And yes, he's going to say a bunch of crazy stuff. And I'm just not going to chase every rabbit down the hole this time.
I mean, so how do you balance that? Because you talked about on Club Random the idea,
Yeah.
you joked that you might quit real time if he wins again. Obviously, that was a joke. It got taken out of context by a lot of people. But you know, how do you make him interesting? How do you
Right.
go about covering him on your show?
Well, I mean, first of all, there's different elements of my show. He's great for the monologue. Monologue is about jokes of the week. And he's always doing something every week that is comedy friendly. So he's going to annex Canada, great. I love to see what my writers could, you know, they do most of the writing of the monologue. I do most of the writing for the end of the show, the editorial, which is a little more serious, but still has lots of laughs. Of course, they contribute a lot to that too, but that's something where I'm trying to make a point. That's the book you're holding there that I put out last year. What this comedian said will shock you. Those are a collection of those endings that we kind of refurbished for the book. You know, am I going to go into a serious dissertation of that for the editorial of invading Greenland or whatever? Probably not, because I just don't take it seriously unless it happens. But as far as the comedy element and chasing him after that, yes, what I was saying that day was, I did it all.
Right.
And I feel like I did it before anybody. I was the one who said he was never going to leave when they were all laughing at me for that, and he didn't leave. And I've done those editorials. He's a con man. He's a mafia boss. He is. And he's all those things. Mm-hmm. He makes fun of the handicapped. He said John McCain wasn't a war hero. You know, I could just go on and on. And you know, the difference I have with some of the people on the left is they think, you know, if you get it about Trump being pretty much everything terrible about a human being stuffed into one man, you also have to hate all the people who vote for him. And I just don't agree with that. I get it about Donald Trump, but, you know, it's half the country. It's more than half the country now.
Yeah.
He did win.
Well,
So, you know, and I get why. I get why he won and why people are frustrated and what they don't like about the left. As I said on our last show of the season, the Democrats, you lost a crazy contest to a crazy person.
Right.
Congratulations.
But to that point, because in September you predicted that Kamala Harris was going to win.
I was,
and then you could see in
yeah.
the weeks after you were getting more concerned with the wokeism.
Yeah.
How does this maybe make you think differently about the electorate? The fact that he did win and won all of the battleground states.
Well, it told us a lot about the electorate and a lot about the Democratic Party and what they've been doing wrong. They're very concerned with issues that the people are a little beyond. Now, the Democrats have always been the party of compassion, and that's good. I'm with them on that. They've always been the party of increasing rights for people who have been marginalized. I'm all for that. But they don't know when to stop, and that's what the message of the electorate was, that the Democrats are all for the oppressed. And what the electorate was saying was, what's oppressing me? The price of eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Right.
that's what's oppressing me. Are there still racists in this country? Of course. Is that still an issue? Yes, it is. But the Democrats have to come to Jesus on that issue and a number of issues where obviously the fact that Donald Trump won more minority votes than I think any Republican since Nixon or before, that should tell you a lot. It's more about class now. And when they get on that page, when they have someone who comes up to I always say, let's live in the year we're living in, I think that party will do better. As of now, I don't see it in the Democratic Party. I see them still digging the hole deeper. But we'll see. I think parties basically want to survive, as all organisms do. But the Democrats could go the way of the Whigs. Parties do die off when they don't adapt. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's going to happen because I think, again, they do want to live. As they say in Jurassic Park, life finds a way.
Yeah.
But we'll see. It's up to them.
Is there an individual you think that can do that,
Well,
that you're impressed with?
I mean, the story that I think was interesting right after the election was Congressman Seth Moulton.
Right.
You saw that? And he said something which, again, I think is fairly uncontroversial. He said, I don't want my 12-year-old daughter being on the, I think, soccer field or maybe field hockey, whatever it was, with basically a trans boy.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want his 12-year-old daughter being run over
Right.
by a big boy who's identifying as a girl, similar to the boxer in the Olympics who got the dog tar beaten out of her by someone who we found out later, yes, was biologically a male. And immediately, 2 people on his staff resigned because they thought what he said was so outrageous. Okay, my view on that is let them quit. Those people should see the exits in the Democratic Party because you are what is losing them elections. But let's not kid ourselves. Those people have a big hold on the Democratic Party. And the idea that they found that to be like beyond the pale, not even just an objection, like I quit. You think 12-year-old boys should not be on the field with 12-year-old girls? That is a bridge too far.
I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm gone. So, again, we'll see where the Democratic Party goes. And Seth Moulton, we'll see if he's the guy who will stand up and say, no, I'm going to double down on this. And good riddance. Don't let the door hit you in the ass.
Because in the past, when he ran, he didn't have a lot of success, Seth Moulton.
I don't remember. I think we had him on the show, and
I think he ran and didn't even make it
Yeah.
to Iowa.
he
sort of
was
thing.
young and not ready.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we've had a lot of those.
Right.
Some of them, they need some seasoning, and look, I don't think I don't know if he was even 40. I don't know how old he is.
Yeah.
But that's not. It's rare the politician who at that age looks like they have the gravitas to run the world.
Right.
Kennedy, Obama were in their 40s, and they were great.
Bill Clinton.
And Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
There's the occasional.
Teddy Roosevelt back in the day. That was a
Oh,
little different era.
He was young, right? Right.
Looked great on TV. Talk about
And on Mount Rushmore.
Speaking of those seasoning, it takes a lot of seasoning to get an hour special done. I mean, 5 minutes of stand-up is tough. To do an hour and have it be that strong.
Hey kids, I have a great idea for you. Since you love Hamas and Hezbollah so much, why don't you next year take your gap year in Iran? No, you're gonna dig it.
Last time we talked to you, when we talked about the book and the editorials, you talked about your process of winnowing down material. What is the process for you of coming up with an hour special? What stays, what doesn't, what message you're trying to convey?
I mean, the hardest problem I had with that one was cutting it. Because I had been doing that act on the road for 3 years, and when I do the road, I do at least 90 minutes. And unlike a lot of comedians who are only working with the evergreen material because they don't really get into politics, I'm working with stuff that changes all the time. So I'm always having new elements come into the act. And new people stepping up. I'm always amused when a Republican goes down, if George Bush leaves the White House and the reporters all say, "How will you survive now?" "I don't know. Sarah Palin will step up and help me." And then Lauren Boebert will step up and help me. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene will step up and help me. And some idiots on the left will do it too. There's always new people and new issues. So I'm churning through a lot of material. My problem was getting it down to an hour.
And one thing you talk about that is pretty evergreen is sex.
Yes.
Got a great bit about oral sex, which I don't think I can get into on this show, but it's very funny.
Right. We'll just say this. It started because I'm about to have a birthday and be 69.
Yes.
And when you tell people your birthday, that
Everybody.
right. He's still alive. Yeah, you always get the still alive applause.
Right.
I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
Yeah.
But when you're 69, the reaction of everybody is a elbow in the 69. As if anybody has ever done this sex. I say it's the Betamax of sex positions.
Yeah.
No one can really do it. Everyone tried. It's terrible.
How does your audience react to your sex jokes compared to your politics jokes?
Well, I mean, the first 40 minutes of the show, I feel like is more about politics and, well, not just but issues, social issues, things that are going on.
Yeah.
And I think for that section of the show, I could have called the show "You'll Never Feel Safe," because if you're on the left, you're not going to feel safe because I seem to be going in your direction, and then I will straighten it out and tell you why you're wrong too. And the same thing on the right. Because I really think that's where the country is. I think both parties, both sides have a lot to answer for. And then in the last 20 minutes, we talk about my sex life, and we can all be united around that.
Yeah.
And we can all, I think, feel we can come together, no pun intended, on those kind of things. Which, and again, that is sort of in the theme of the show, because I do think there's so much that we have in common.
Right.
And at the end of it, I think the last bit I'm talking about is, how do we fix this? Don't talk about politics all the time.
Right.
This is what we never used to do. I remember when I was a kid, my parents had friends who they had an inkling were not of their political bent, but people just didn't go there. It was literally considered impolite to talk about like your political views and argue about it, or religion. We're not the same religion, we're not the same political stripe. There's a million other things you can talk about. You don't have to argue on Facebook with the kid who was in your 8th grade chemistry lab about ivermectin, okay? Just stop. Your opinion on everything is not, you don't have to share every gosh darn thing.
We love
you
it.
think with everybody.
We love it when you share. Last question, real quick.
Yeah.
In this book, one of my favorite things that you said was you talked about your relationship with your audience and how that is the relationship of your life. And you see that on stage in this special. Can you expand upon what you mean by that?
Well, I never got married. I'm done. That's it. Thank you. Never had kids. This is my kids, my show. I mean, occasionally I've had the experience of, going out with someone who, and I never got mad at them when they were just not interested. They're just, women, young women. They're not really interested sometimes in politics, and And at a certain point, it kind of petered out because it didn't get too serious. And I would say, well, you know, the show is my kids. You didn't want to meet my kids. If you don't want to meet my kids, I can only get so serious with you.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to be my biggest fan, but you got to want to meet my kids.
Yeah.
And that is the relationship of my life. It's one that's been going on for over 30 years on television. I feel very akin to people who are my fans because I think we think pretty much the same way. Again, to get back to what you were getting to at the beginning, we don't want to be extremists, and we want to see everything not through the lens of some ideologically captured group who already has the idea in their mind and they just want someone to confirm what they already believe. That's not what I do. If you want that, there's lots of people who do it, but not me, and I don't think my audience wants that. They want a fresh take, they want an honest take, and even if we disagree, that's okay. That's okay. When I started on Politically Incorrect, they said, this will never work. A talk show host cannot share his opinions. Letterman didn't do it. Carson didn't do it. Leno didn't do it. They play it right. I said, well, let's see. Maybe if you disagree with somebody, they can still be your friend. And it's true, they can.
Well, as somebody who's a huge fan of your
I
work,
appreciate
thank
it.
you so much. I
Right.
guess I'm one of your kids. I'm not going for spouse or support or any child support or anything, but thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Keep up the
Always
good
great.
work. Bill Maher,
Great to see
thank you so
Alex.
much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.